show has a potential to be such a good show, but it seems confused on the genre that it wants to take. Like, pick a fucking lane and stay there. Pick a damn genre and commit to it. Whether that be supernatural, love story, or rom com, or slapstick ensemble comedy, the first few episodes were such a vibe with Ton and Victor just being together. They're not even speaking the same language, and them together on the screen are just the sweetest moments. But then you have a lot of these slapstick comedy that does not really add anything to the plot in any way. If it doesn't serve the emotional arc or the character growth, just cut it. There's so many casts, and they could have done a lot more for them instead of just comic relief. They are already there anyway, might as well do something about it. You already have a big supporting cast. Instead of making them into walking punchlines, they could have added richness to the plot, expanded on Ton's world or Nancry's history, or just simply establishing a side couple. I appreciate an outrageous nonsense comedy. I enjoyed Last Meal Universe. That show does not take itself seriously and knows what it's aiming for. It's an out of this world comedy about an alien who fell in love with a human being. Completely ridiculous premise. It's not pretending to be anything profound, so when the emotional scenes came up, it felt so organic. The self awareness makes a big difference. There's something kind of beautiful about a show that can be so absurd and sincere at the same time. With I Promise I Will Come Back, we could have ended the show around the 30-minute mark of the last episode, and we could have all been happy about it. This is a fallacy a lot of writers fall into. We don't know when to let go of a story. Sometimes we do just a little too much when there's no need to. We don't know when to let go of the story. We keep dragging the story long past its natural ending. Like I said, there's a good story here, but it's so cluttered with unnecessary scenes that dilutes the impact of the main plot. It's such an interesting premise overall. It's just so much, there's so much noise that you cannot focus enough on the main show. A lot of the scenes that are just fillers to give certain side characters something to do, which is fine if those moments add texture or dimension to the main narrative. But here, it's mostly just noise, and that noise distracts from the themes and the relationships that should be front and center. It's especially frustrating because there are scenes that do work beautifully. I would have loved to see more of Ton and Nan cry because the amount of time they are actually together on screen is a crime. It's such a great premise, like I said. Who can't relate to that brief but intense connection with someone you've just met? That attraction that burns so hot right off the bat. Instant, unexplainable, and way too strong for how little you actually know each other. Ton and Victor's overall story just feels so nostalgic to me. That intoxicating kind of connection that you just obsessed over. It never quite makes sense, but in the moment it feels like the most important thing in the world. We've been all there, and sure, maybe nothing comes out of it. Maybe it fizzles just as fast as it flared. But for a second, it's everything. A lot of BL shows try that instant connection trope, and most of the time, you're just rolling your eyes and thinking that's not how it works. It feels forced, unearned, like the show is trying to convince us of a bond that the script forgot to actually build. But here, it works. The show only needed to take that on screen connection that Ton and Victor have and ran with it. The two of them just clicked for me. Most of the time, they don't even speak each other's language. The glances, the silences, the way they move around each other. It's subtle but so magnetic. The show had something real right there. Something that didn't need heavy dialogues or over explained backstories. The connection was already on the screen. Something so tangible and so relatable. The whole thing is just so frustrating. Another plot I have issue with is when Victor left and they lost communication. I know they established that Victor does not have social media, but we have phone numbers and emails. Did someone forget about phone numbers in the show? I know a lot of us do not really use them anymore. We mostly rely on chat IDs and profile names. They could have said this in an earlier era and it would have made more sense, a time when phones are not so prevalent, because setting matters. And if you're relying on obstacles that makes no sense in the modern context, then you pick the wrong setting. There's already so much cultural references in the show that reflect a past era. They just have to take it a step further. Victor's death. They could have made Victor's passing a recent thing, like a day or two before Tuan's arrival in Taiwan, and it would have been more cohesive. Because with Victor sending the mail to Tuan and asking him to come to Taiwan, it feels like a very recent plan. Or maybe the letter was lost in the mail or something. I don't know. We don't know because the fucking show did not write it in. I can excuse Victor's passing being very vague, but with his twin brother San Liang seeming to have already grieved, it's pretty obvious that it did not happen in the last few days. Give me some timeline, at the least. Let's talk about the supernatural part of the show. There are hints, snippets, fleeting moments where the ominous tone of Ton's voiceover brushes up against something deeper, something otherworldly. They should have just leaned into that, to the supernatural, since it's so integral in the ending. I don't care if they kill all the gays at the end. I want the debts to be earned. And that means giving the supernatural element actual weight throughout the story. Here I am again saying that they could have given us more because that's basically the whole story of this show. The foreshadowing, it's so subtle. If the ending is going to rely so much on the supernatural part of the show, then give me more. I need a backbone to the lore. Where is the explanation or the glimpses of how Ton could connect so deeply to this mysterious lady in the cave that he could have strike a bargain with her, a bargain that literally changes the course of fate and brings back two people from the dead. The core premise of the show was right there. A person waiting eternally for the return of a lost lover. That's epic tragedy right there. Where was that in the show other than that one myth that was mentioned? Why wasn't that the emotional thread throughout the whole series? This is what I mean when I say the show had so much potential, but it keeps dropping the ball at every opportunity. It's so frustrating. Not every story needs an epic ending. It doesn't have to be. Some stories are small, intimate, soft, and that's enough. In fact, knowing when to wrap things up is one of the most underrated signs of a good writing. Give us the impact, then bow out gracefully. That's what they should have done in the show. Just cut that last part about returning back in time, since in the grand scheme of things, it's nonsense. The special episode, well, we're pretending that it ever happened, so I'm moving on from that. It's just so frustrating because the show is packed with it could have been better, but it wasn't moments over and over again. You're watching it and you can see the potential of a really great story just waiting to be explored. It didn't need to be a massive rewrite, or it doesn't need a miracle for that matter. It just needed to be intentional. Intentional with the tone, intentional with the scenes that got screen time, and what could have been left in the editing room or just plain written out. This is the show that almost hits but misses again and again. And isn't that just the most heartbreaking part of the show? So, have you seen I Promise I Will Come Back? What do you think about it? Did you enjoy it? Do you agree with me? Comment down below. Remember to check my other BL reviews. Drink your water, stay hydrated. Bye bye.